If you're anything like us, you're constantly on the hunt for new games to try out. And this week we reveal our personal high five list of family-friendly Gamewright games. So this is going to be an interesting This is going to be an interesting list because we've got some crossover, and we've talked about some of these games before. So a company that we enjoy,
love.
They have a great track record of great family games. Anything else before we dive in?
No, that was me pounding my chest. I'm a huge Gamewright fanboy.
As long as it doesn't come in a tin.
I love their tin. In fact, I've been on the lookout for a Gamewright t-shirt that says, like, put it in a tin or something, but I don't want a Copenhagen reference or anything like that. I want to keep it family friendly, so I'm on the hunt for, I might have to make my own t-shirt.
Or make your own tins. Why don't you put all your own, start making your own tins.
Remember, we love this company, Doug.
Yes.
So let's carry on here.
All right, what's your number 5?
Number 5 for me is the most recent game in my collection, and I want to just shout out to Anitra and Andrew at the Family Gamers because they talked about this game for 3 months straight. It's from our renowned designer, Phil Walker Harding, and that's Super Mega Lucky Box. 2021 release, 1 to 6 players, 20 minutes, ages 8+. The weight is 1.25 out of 5, and I'm going to tell you, folks, it's 6+. My 6-year-old, who I'm going to talk about a lot in this segment because Eliza's played a lot of Gamewright, dominated Super Mega Lucky Box. She had 64. I had 39, and my wife, Emmy, had 43. And I have to tell you, it wasn't my first game playing. So let me actually talk about the game instead of just the actual fun with playing it. But in Super Mega Lucky Box, you get 5 cards that are almost like a tic-tac-toe shape that have number patterns in them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And once you complete a row or a column, you then trigger a bonus. And so you have 5 cards. You're choosing 3 to keep. The other 2 go in the discard pile. And you're marking off on any of those cards as 1 through 9 come up in the deck. But 1 through 9 are in this 18 deck card twice, and you're only using 9 of the cards per round. So you might see the 6s twice, but you never see the 4s. And then how you trigger those bonuses. I had no idea it was that crunchy. Like, I'm sitting there at the table playing it over lunch this week.
So it should be called Super Mega Crunchy Box.
And max the heck out of it while my kiddo's just ticking them off and getting bonus.
Sounds like you're thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, it's fun though, Doug. And it is 20 minutes. So truly a game that I can play on my lunch break with my family in the summertime. It checks so many boxes. Thank you, Phil Walker Harding, for continuing to put out great games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that one out. All right, my number 5, I don't know why, that's a mistake there, but my number 5, sorry, I'm looking at a run sheet and...
Keep going, bud.
Yeah, we're plowing through. My number 5 is Outfox, published in 2014. Sharon Lynn, Marissa Pena, Colt Tipton Johnson, 2 to 4 players, 20 minutes, 1.13 is the weight on that one. I think we talked about this in an episode, but I did not write it down.
Yes, we did. I'll find that for you, Doug. Keep
that
talking
for me.
about Outfox.
So Outfox is a deduction game in which you are rolling dice, and before you roll dice, you have to decide whether you want to look for suspects or look for clues. When you're looking for clues, you move around the board and collect these little discs that then you put into this decoder that tells you whether that person, the suspect that you're looking for, has white gloves or if they have a monocle, that type of thing. If you're looking for suspects, you get to flip over suspects, which then you can rule out depending on which clues you have. You need to find the culprit before the fox escapes from the game board.
Yep, and if you want to hear more about that, you can just listen to episode 64. We spent about 25 minutes doing a deep dive in Outfox. That was our recommended game of the week.
Yeah, Outfox, great game. All right, we got a crossover here, number 4.
And that was also a recommended game of the week in episode 55. That's Happy City. We both had it at 4. That's awesome. 2021 release. Can you move the mouse a little bit? I want to get this designer's name right. Thank you. Toshiba Sato, Aru Sato, 2 to 5 players, 20 to 30 minutes, ages 10+. The weight is 1.26 out of 5. And this is one of the most recent games added to my collection thanks to Noble Knight. I picked that up, and I love Happy City because in Happy City, what are you doing, Doug? You're building a happy city. You want to tell people how the game actually works?
Yes, you are. Geez, I have to.
I can. I played it recently.
Played it recently.
Yeah. So in Happy City, you have very few turns actually that you are building. I don't want to say building a happy city, but you are getting these nice little cards, and you're building a city that's then triggering other bonuses. So each round you're taking, one of a small handful of actions. And then I don't want to make the Machi Koro comparison, but for me, it does a lot of the things that Machi Koro does in about half the time, in about half the space. Truly a game that does fit in my wife's purse, or that I've just, thrown and brought with me to a restaurant. I haven't brought it to church yet, but it's one of those games where if the kids do act up, let them play it a little bit.
Depends how bad the sermon is.
Yeah. Keep going, Doug.
No, a great little game. I mean, Michael hit it on the head. The artwork is so cute and adorable in this game, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. You're building the buildings. Kids have fun with the art that's on the buildings, and what building, it's like, oh, I'm building a little hamburger stand. They get excited about that, and
and you have bonuses that are assigned to you that you're trying to trigger, and then other people are actively trying to block. And I'll tell you what, it's not just adult gamers who play it that are trying to block it. I've played this enough with kids where they will step in and try to block you on it too. So.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about this one is it has a scale where there's a basic game and another one that has those little end game combinations that can add some complexity for adults. And as your family grows and ages, it's still one that can work in your collection. It's not one that's like, oh, this is for 5-year-olds, and once I have 6-year-olds, I'm done with this game.
No, I think, good point.
All right, on to your number 3, Michael.
My number 3 is one of the most talked about games over the first 75 episodes. It is a game that got me through the lockdown and homeschooling my 4-year-old, and that is Sleeping Queens. 2005 release, designers Amanda Everts. Oh, yeah, special shout out. 2 to 5 players, 20 minutes, ages 8+. Weight is 1.06 out of 5. If you ever see a grown man at a convention wearing a Sleeping Queens t-shirt, there's a very good chance it's me. I love this game because it brought a passion of gaming into all people in my house, but I especially have a connection with my little Eliza in this one. And in Sleeping Queens, there are queens that you are trying to select. So you're playing cards out of your hand, and each time you play a king, you get to take a queen from a face-down pile. But there's also dragons and knights and sleeping potion and wands, and they all have one little blocking mechanism. Like if you play with the knights and the dragons work together to cancel each other out. And the other piece about Sleeping Queens for any game schoolers out there, because I know there's a 15th anniversary coming out. I got to do math here. There's an anniversary edition of some sort.
Well, there's Sleeping Kings coming out.
Okay. Here's the thing that I should have led with. There's math involved. So you can play, if you have a 2, 2, and a 4, you could say 2 + 2 = 4, and then the kiddo or the adult gets to select 3 cards. So just as I've talked about Llama teaching numbers 1 through 6 in colors to my kiddo, this game also taught very basic math. So that's my number 3 game I absolutely love, and I am on the lookout for a Sleeping Queens t-shirt, but haven't found one yet.
All right. My number 3, I forgot that we had that sound effect in there, and what perfect time to do that.
Did you drop it, or did it just happen?
No, I did that. No,
well done.
This computer is programmed to anytime anyone mentions Sleeping Queens, that goes off. From henceforth, that is the new rule. My number 3 is the first roll and write game that I played, which was Quicks. Published in 2012, the designer is Stefan Bendorf. 2 to 5 players, 15 minutes, 1.12 on the Board Game Geek complexity scale. Quicks is a great little game in which you've got 4 colored tracks, green, yellow, red, and blue, and you roll dice, and you get to, if you're the person rolling it, you get to choose 2 different sets of dice to fill in numbers. And if you are not the active player, you have to pick 1 set of dice to fill in on your scorecard. But the way that the scorecard works is that once you go up, the red and the yellow are ascending numbers. And so you have to start low, 2 to 12. And the green and blue are descending, 12 down to 2. But once you put down the number and cross it off, so if I cross off the 12 and then the next number I cross off is a 10, I can never go back and fill in that 11. But you get more points for the more that you fill in. And so there's that crunch of how long do you spend waiting for those numbers to come up. And it's one that I've played with my parents, which is hard to believe.
That deserves a recommended sticker on it,
right? Actually, this is more appropriate for any time you can get my parents to play a game.
All right. Plus.
So that is my number 3, Quicks.
Quicks is outstanding. Quicks is also brutal. Sometimes I've made some mistakes playing that one. Another great game. Just correcting, it's Sleeping Queens 2, The Rescue. And we had talked about this in our house. I believe in that one, the queens are trying to rescue the kings who are sleeping or something. But that's coming out this year if it's not out
Seems
already.
like they could make a movie out of it. There's so much plot in there.
Send us a review copy with a T-shirt. I'll wear the T-shirt and play the game. Awesome. We're not up to 2 already, are we? Don't I have a 3?
You did your 3, man.
Did my 3? Oh, my
Sleeping
gosh,
Queens.
we're just flying. I just love Gamewright games. I really do. Number 2 for me is Forbidden Island. 2010 release. Designer is Matt Leacock. 2 to 4 players, 30 minutes, ages 10 plus. The weight is 1.74 out of 5. This was our recommended game of the week back in episode 17 in Forbidden Island. It's Pandemic Light, folks.
Yeah.
You've got a handful of actions. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 actions. I wanted to say 3 actions, where Pandemic, you get 4th actions you do on your turn. But you're trying to get across the island and rescue certain pieces and then fly out of there before the island sinks on you. Here's what I'll say about Forbidden Island for the second time, because I know we said this in episode 17. The game is so darn close. It is a masterpiece of balance. Every time I've played that game, it comes down to we either won on the last turn or we lost and we probably should have won if we just had that one more turn. So in terms of bringing tension to a family weight game, and again, I feel like we say this with a lot of games, but this is a game that I have played with neighbors who are not gamers and who are like, oh, that was fun. But it's kind of, I don't want to say at the high end of that complexity for people who don't play games, but for people who are completely outside the hobby, who only associate games to Monopoly or slot machines, Forbidden Island is a game that can be brought to the table, taught in under 5 minutes, really set up, played in under a half hour. It is just a fantastic game, and I love the tin of that game as well.
Yeah, that's my number 2 as well. We got a straight crossover there. The 2 things I'll mention on this one is, so you're trying to balance collecting these idols, turning in cards to collect the idols that are distributed around the island.
Idols, thank you.
While trying to keep the island from sinking as you go. Shares a lot of mechanisms with Pandemic and is a perfect gateway to jump up to that level after you're done with it. But this is one of those things, and I think this is true for a lot of Gamewright games, is I am always amazed at the cost of this game.
Oh, that's a good point.
And how economical it is for the components and the things that you get in this game. I'm shocked every time. Like, this is one of those that Amazon has like a lot of times on whenever they have like a big board game sale. It's on there, and I'm just like, how are they giving this game away for this?
They must have a warehouse just of Gamewright games.
this for such a great price, and that goes across the board for all of Gamewright games. These are all very affordable. Even something like Outfox that comes in a big game box like you are used to getting games in, usually around the $20 range. So
I think I got my Forbidden Island for about $12.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It up a while back. So no, that's great. Looks like we have some more crossover potentially.
Kind of, yes.
Number 1 for me is Sushi Go. Designer is Phil Walker Harding. And 2013 release, 2 to 5 players, 15 minutes, 8 plus, 1.16 out of 5. Episode 19, recommended game of the week. Say it with me, Doug. 1, 2, 3, Sushi Go. It doesn't get better than that. I mean, just that brings me a little bit of joy. You know, you are drafting a card and playing a card and then passing the cards to your left in the first round, passing the cards to your right in the second round, trying to make combinations. Boy, do you want some sashimi? Do you want to go get some nigiri and match it up with a little bit of salmon? The art on it is cute and fun. As with a lot of the games on the list, it stood the test of time. This is a game that, honestly, it doesn't come to the table a whole lot with our game group because we're playing other heavier games, but this still comes to the table with my family. It lives in our quiver, and when it comes out, we have a good time playing it. Quiver is the case that holds a lot of games. And this is one that I'm really looking forward to bringing to the after-school program. I think all 5 of these games would fit in really well with the middle school after-school program. So, Gamewright, thank you. Phil Walker Harding. I almost called him Dr. Phil Walker Harding.
He could be.
He probably is. Or Sir Doctor, the good Sir Dr. Phil Walker Harding. Another great game.
Certainly knighted by the Game Schooler podcast.
Yeah, well,
if anyone deserves knighting, it would be him.
How about you, Doug?
All right, my number one, same line, slightly different. Sushi Go Party is what I put on the list. This came out in 2016 and it goes from 2 to 8 players and 20 minutes, a little bit longer. The thing I like about Sushi Go Party is that it has everything that's in the base game and it has a little bit more. So you can mix and match what you put into the game. So if you go to that next level, what are you shaking your head at?
Because now I want to get it. Because I walked by this at Noble Night a couple weeks back. I've had it in and out of the cart. Like, oh, $10, oh, $12, and go ahead. It was personal, folks. Not you. I want it.
So that's what I like about this is that I'm not saying that the base game can get stale, but if it does for you and it is a family staple, this is a quick way to spice it up.
What makes this the next level up?
Well, it just has cards that you swap out, and then instead of playing with nigiri, you can play with another type of sushi that comes up that has slightly different scoring mechanisms. So it just broadens it out with different kinds of offshoots and different ways to play, I guess.
Bigger tin, too.
Yes, it is a bigger tin. This is a great stepping stone game for games like Seven Wonders. It's a Wonderful Kingdom. And just getting used to that basic thing before you get into something that would be more complex. So that is our high 5 list. We had a couple of honorable mentions.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention, I'm going to just do a rapid fire here of my 3 honorable mentions because they're games that I think are great games, but keeping the list at a cut of 5. Trash Pandas is a game that you had gifted to me a while back. Said, I think that your kids would like this, and we absolutely love it. You're dumpster diving with pandas looking for treasure. Playing cards out of hand, getting tokens, great little game. Dragonwood is a game that has these awesome, to quote a Doug Kotekian term, chunky wooden dice, and you're going after dragons, going on a little quest. Another fun little game. Really got my family through the lockdown playing that game. And then Outfox, which you had mentioned. Boy, that was hard for me to not put it on the list. Some of it might just be that recency bias of having so much fun with Super Mega Lucky Box in the last few days, weeks. Yeah. I think any of these I could have put into that 4 or 5 slot. They're just outstanding games.
Yeah, I had Dragonwood on my short list, along with a game called Abandon All Artichokes, which is kind of a reverse deck builder where you're trying to get rid of all of the artichokes in your hand. So you're bringing new cards in to hopefully draw a hand that has no artichokes in it, and then you win the game.
Winner is whoever starts their round sans artichokes, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then the other one that's not on the list, but I was just thinking about it, is Sushi Roll, which is another variation of Sushi Go, but is a dice drafting game. Mm-hmm. So if that's something that might appeal to you, take a look at that. So that is our high 5 Gamewright games. As we move towards the close here, I want to remind everybody to subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube. This video will be on YouTube, either in its entirety or in chunks. We'll see. We'll see how that works out.
Keep going, Doug. Close us out here.
Yeah, and then reminder to, like us on Facebook and follow us at Twitter, on Twitter. Our handle at GameSchoolerU is our handle on both of those social media platforms. And I think lastly, thank you so much for spending the last hour or so with us. We really appreciate it.
Now get out there and keep game schooling.